Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Nichel Anderson, of my podcast show, Nichel Anderson, Short Stories and Beyond. Thank you so much for joining me for this week. This will be episode 45 entitled King Mahlon Intercedes, one of the two brothers. So in this particular podcast, it is a premium show where I release clip snippets. This month in March, I'm returning back to MOLIAE, where I will release clip snippets of the full short story. To get the full short story, you can be a patron member. That direct link of information of how to do that is in the description box below of this podcast, so you could check that out. And then mostly my stories that I do focus on my podcast is from my theatrical production, MOLIAE, that stands for Moments of Love in Ancient Egypt. And that production currently is right now in the prep phase for the prestige return of MOLIAE stage play. Once those dates are confirmed, I will make that announcement. So hopefully you can participate, attend that particular event. All right, so let's go ahead and move on for this here. Let's look at some highlights, okay? And the highlight for this week, of course, I said episode 45, King Mahlon intercedes, one of the two brothers. And we will catch up with King Mahlon. Remember in December, before MOLIAE took a break the last 2 months of this year, 2019, last month in December, saw that where King Mahlon went to the Domain of Sudan, the Council of Rulers, and that's where he made his official announcement that not only he's back on the throne after the major war that started this timeline of MOLIAE when I kicked off my podcast in 2017. And he made some references that he's aware that some people in the region were against him. So he made it known that he will get each and one of them one by one and address that issue of the traitor against their initial agreement for peace. And so we came into that realm of all of these other players that's on the scene here, and how they were shocked of how he recovered and he's back on the scene, so making it known. So in the last episode last week, so I guess that's going to be this week where it moves forward and he catch up with one of the many that are unknown against Mitsrayim. So that's what we're going to focus on this week. So last week was episode 44. It was entitled Lanko Advances Forward in Zimbabwe. So go ahead and check that episode out. That one right there featured, of course, Lanko is one of the Orions. He was one of the three that I introduced when I started this podcast in 2017 there, and with Echo and Natu. So now Lanko has advanced. He made his alliance with Atuo that Hani told him to do. Hani is a superior over Lanko, and he was also over Echo and Natu. So he has formed this alliance. They moved to the last whereabouts that was known from Natu, because Lanko and Hani and others in Orion feel that it was Natu that sealed the deal for Echo. Thought Lanko was going to be a part of that notified King Mahlon of their area in the Sudan, and that ended up with Echo off the scene. So they blaming Natu was the reason for that, because basically he wanted to be in control, right, of the whole campaign for the Asta of Mitsrayim. So that happened last week. So go ahead and check that episode out, episode 44. And let's go ahead and get started. Now, I do also want to say that I have apps. For this podcast app, it is available at the Apple Store and as well on Google Play. So go ahead and check that out. Support the podcast that way. If you don't want to be a patron member, you could do that. And please share it with someone. All right. If you like it, please share it. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get started. Let's begin. For this week of my podcast show, Season 2, Nichel Anderson, Short Stories and Beyond. For this week episode 45, entitled King Mahlon Intercedes, one of the two brothers. Opening scene. Prior to the now, we find King Mahlon with King Mahlon, who would be the stepfather of Dama. the future king of Sababre, as King Mahlon now is the stepfather of Daniel, the also future king of what would be known as Kodesh, and the two, Dama and Daniel, as the two future kings during Princess Amenia time, eons of the years yet to come. King Mahlon, along with his newly elected General Dachar, is with him, along with many other Mitsrayim soldiers, as they enter the domain of Sababre, the rulership of King Mahlon. They made it to the outskirts of the borders of Sababre, and what in future generations would be called near the Congo. Messengers of Kingo had informed King Mahlon that one of the secret few adversaries against him was aligning with a force not suitable for the initial king's alliance of peace, as Mitsrayim of leader of that reign of region. Daniel, although young, was present on this military journey to learn those of combat, as his future rule of Kodesh, afar in the north, will be required as such. It was informed to King Mahlon by King Mahlon, his longtime friend, that one of the two adversaries' brothers were there for yet an unknown reason. King Mahlon nodded as he saw his long adversary Sanel finally appear over the few area across the long path. King Mahlon nodded to General Dachar and King Mahlon as he saw his long adversary Sanel walking near pathway to the Haven Cave, far across from them. Sanel was the brother of Eturo. As Sanel, as he walked in, covered misty of the cave near the waterfall, it was King Mahlon that motioned both his generals and King Mahlon to approach, as he was about to intercept Sanel and the third unknown tunnel entrance to the cave haven. As the second leading high-rank military officer stayed behind as the lookout and position of protection outside of this cave haven. Sanel was confident as the region was forming nicely with Natu as planned with the removal of Echo. As he made his way to the halfway, he saw soldiers along with the two guards. He had directed them to stay in position ready at any moment. Suddenly they heard noises. They quickly went for their weapons as General Dachar appeared with King Mahlon and his general and 10 other royal guards. Sanel lowered his hand to his guards to hold down. King Mahlon appeared as King Mahlon as well that followed. It was King Mahlon that spoke that seemed to roar in the tunnel cave haven. Even in this espoo, you are unworthy the name of your father. Sanel, with his distastefulness, spoke back to King Mahlon. Neither of your words harm me, Disapspoo Mahlon. Silence filled the near entrance of the cave leading to the third tunnel deeper into the domain, for what seemed for moments onward, before King Mahlon walked up to Sanel with intensity, staring him down. We will fight again on the battlefield. That moment will be with you there, and not afraid behind bushes of shades. Sanel's fury seemed to rise instantly at the insult before he replied. I was not a part. Colonel Dachar and King Mahlon spoke at once. Lies spoken of you. King Mahlon responded. Who are you in alliance with against the rule of Mitsrayim? Sanel resisted, responding at first. Then he looked back at Mahlon. Neither shall I speak of what I do, not now or. King Mahlon persisted and interrupted him. Where is General Tukan? Sanel stepped back to hide what he knew. General Dachar charged at Sanel, but King Mahlon and King Mahlon held back General Dachar. King Mahlon spoke. You must choose to reveal what you know, for your fall will be immediate. Meanwhile, in Mitsrayim, The roads leading to the front entrance of the royal palace, we see covered fabric on a long cart being carried with 4 male Mitsrayim, dressed in Egyptian attire, but not of the loyalty to the crown of Mitsrayim. They were in disguise as such. As the line to enter the first level of the fortress of the royal palace, the leader breathed in to gather himself in speaking the right words to get access in for the next move, as by his superiors conducted them to do so for the phase against. This concludes this week clip snippet for this episode. If you would like to listen to the full story, please visit my Patreon page. The information will be in the below description. Mostly every week, I will release only the clippet of the short story, and once you become a patron, you will have access to the full short story, what's going on next. And I do plan to release more director clip notes, as well as a bonus of releasing a story. Thank you again for joining my podcast this week. Of this podcast, Nichel Anderson, Short Stories and Beyond. So long.